What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 13 of Park to Prem here with Nottingham Forest. Today, we've got a little bit of a special episode. It's going to be an end-of-season live com where I sit down, we go through, obviously, all the end-of-season shenanigans, and then talk about and look at some of the things that you guys wanted to see as of last episode. Before we get into this, just a little apology that there wasn't an episode yesterday. I've not been feeling too great the last couple of days. I'm hoping it's nothing too serious. I'm sure I'll be fine, but yesterday, I just wasn't really in a recording capacity, but we're back again today. And well, first things first, we've got our end of season awards to go through. You know the exciting thing where I've lost it. One sec. Show us the end of season awards. Have they gone? Awards? I've just had the award ceremony and it's vanished. 1 second, everyone. Okay, here we are. I've got lost. It's a good start to the episode, isn't it? When less than 2 minutes in, everything stops working. Here we have the Nottingham Forest end of season review for 2027-28. And well, this was a season where we were expected to get promoted, weren't we? We were expected to do big things, and we did do big things. I find it interesting, actually, that Matt Smith here won signing of the season, because he was kind of our emergency backup right wing back, and he did very well. But of course, after last season's kind of good year, and the narrowly kind of missing out on promotion via the playoffs, I feel like we went into this season pretty confident and knowing what we needed to do. I think when you look at the additions as well, we signed a couple of players who really made a big difference. I look at Malang Sarr, obviously joined us in January, a player who is top quality for the Premier League, coming in with a little bit of experience as well. It's quite difficult to find players in their prime who are willing to join a championship club and who have Premier League experience. But Sarr, at only 29 years old, still has a few years left in him. And I think you look at him right now, he's comfortably a Premier League quality player. He is almost the standard of player we want to be striving towards come the summer. I'm under no disillusions, though. That is going to be tough to match, that signing. Just because we got fortunate in the sense that he was very unhappy. It was January. No one else was looking to spend money, and we had all this money left to spend. Of course, he wasn't the only big addition that joined us this year. Leighton Stewart signed, and I know some people will view Leighton Stewart as a little bit of a disappointment. Ultimately, he got 15 league goals in 34 appearances, of which more than half of them, actually no, not more than half of them, more than 33% of them were on off the bench. And with that in mind, I think that's actually quite a good return. I feel like, I'm sure you guys know this feeling. If you sub on a player with 10 minutes left in Football Manager, they just get a 6.7 every game. And I think Leighton Stewart's average rating is almost certainly dragged down by those substitute appearances, where I'm certainly guilty of leaving subs a little bit late. I think on the disappointing side of things, I would say that Talby and Seka, I was hoping for a little bit more from either of these guys. Talby obviously was brought in as kind of a little bit of a punt, brought in for, well, £11 million. I was about to say not a significant sum of money, but it was a significant sum of money for a backup, really. He didn't shine. If we could look to sell him on for some profit, I think I'd be quite happy with that. And Steve Seka, on the other hand, obviously joined us. The young South African came in January. He's continuing to improve on the training ground, but on the pitch, his performances have left a lot to be desired. Anyway, you can see the rest of the team here. We've got players like Mustafa Sai, who we signed on a freebie. Hasn't really had an impact on the first team, but if we could sell him on for a little bit of money, fantastic. I think ultimately there wasn't too much pressure on our transfers this year because our starting kind of team was just so good. Of course, if we look at the end of season results, we ended up on more than 105 points. 58 goal difference is very, very good. The board love us. And Samake, top goal scorer. Look, things you love to see. Samake, top goal scorer. I do think it's interesting that we're still not selling out the ground. 26,000 fans, average attendance, that's 85%. I'm pretty confident we will be selling out next year going into the Premier League. Anyway, our biggest win was in the FA Cup against Brentford, a 5-0 win. The match to remember, the late comeback against Norwich City, where at 2-1 down with added time beginning, we grabbed 2 to make it 3-2. And goal of the season was Healy. So, well done, Healy. You didn't do too much this year compared to previous years, but you did that. Elsewhere, club reputation has risen, which is great to see. Some of the finances dropped a little bit this year, but of course, going into the Premier League, they are all going to shoot back up again very, very soon. And well, in terms of the kind of team for the year, you can see we rotate the team a fair amount this season. However, our key players played a major role in how the season turned out. And when you look at the average ratings across the board, very, very impressive for a hell of a lot of players. I mean, the standout performer, I guess, is Samake, but Smith did very well on a 7.26. Actually got the highest average rating, which is really, really impressive. At 22 years old, lots of big English clubs showing interest in him, and Barcelona, which is a little bit odd. I don't intend to sell him, everyone, because he's blooming brilliant. He's just too good a player for us to risk losing. You can see he was signed... he wasn't signed. He was loaned out to Swansea once upon a time, played in the Premier League for them, came back to Nottingham Forest, and has been a top player, and he's only got better. This has been a bit of a breakout year for him, a bit of a late bloomer, dare I say, turning 22. I guess it's not that late, really, but, I've persisted with him for a few years now, as have previous managers, and I think this year was really kind of the fruits of the labour were kind of fed. We got what we earned this year. He's finally starting to put in some good performances. It's going to be interesting to see how he does, of course, playing in the Premier League next year, because that is going to be a notable step up. Elsewhere, Samake obviously was absolutely superb. He got 35 goals. Brewster got 19. Stewart got 15. Crazy sums. And then in terms of assists, well, it was just kind of distributed around, wasn't it? But Finlay Robertson had a really, really good year. I think he was signed for less than £1 million last season. I think him playing at deep line playmaker is going to be a really, really important aspect of our team going into next season. Anyway, in terms of accolades, we won a few Manager of the Months. Adrian Smith won Fans Player of the Season as well as Young Player of the Season. And, well, you can see some of the others here. Record breaker, Carl Stokes, 24 clean sheets for the goalkeeper. He's blooming good, isn't he? But yeah, good season. A season where I feel like we matched expectations. You can see here the overall best 11 for Nottingham Forest. Of course, many of these players predate us, but Samake is up there, up top. You might remember Rodak. We sold him to Norwich City for 46 million. He obviously hasn't done very well with them just yet. If we just look at the league table, the playoffs is still going. I'm actually going to go forward a couple more weeks before we start deep diving into some stuff, just so all the different league seasons wrap up so we can actually see what's happening. But if we look at the season review, it was a memorable season. We won the league. I don't feel like we defied all expectations, but you know what? We matched my expectations at the very least. Anyway, in terms of club vision, there's still a load of mental club cultures that all kind of conflict one another. We managed to straddle the line with them last year, so I'm going to stick with them. In terms of squad dynamics, Grimes is the only leader, which is a little bit concerning, but we've got plenty of highly influential players, many of whom are regular first-team players. So I'm hoping that maybe the likes of, Samake perhaps, Adrian Smith would probably be my first choice. They'll make the step up into the team leader section going into next season. Anyway, in terms of plans for next season, it's gonna be a tough year, isn't it? It's gonna. Let's just try. Let's try. Some new faces need to be around to help us improve. Sar's delighted that we're strengthening the team. I mean, he knows what's required to stay up here. Lots of the lesser players in the team are thinking, "Oh, please don't replace me." I'm not gonna back down here. And should we make promises? Yeah, make promises. Give youth a chance. Look, they all love me. Right? See you all next year, boys. It's an okay way to end the year, innit? But no, we're going okay. Training camp. Oh, the most exciting thing of all. I think we'll go to the Algarve. Why not? Right. That's kind of how the team and stuff look right now. I'm going to go forward, just as I said, a couple of weeks, just before we get into going through some of your comments, looking at stuff that you guys want me to look at. So, yeah. I'll see you in a second. Okay, guys, so it's the 28th of May. I'm now in a position where I can sit down and talk about things because the Premier League season has wrapped up. We will leave the suspense of the playoff final for next season. So who's going to be joining us in the Premier League? Is it going to be Crystal Palace or Fulham? Get a prediction down in the comments right now. Before we do talk about some of the other bits, I do just want to overview the squad and kind of my plans for next season. This is a good squad. Obviously, it's had a couple of extra years than I would like in the Championship. There's some really good young players with a lot of potential, but actually, I think the big thing this year is actually going to be just to add a little bit of strength in depth. I have already been thinking about what we might need to change going into the Premier League. Do we need to look at maybe dropping one of the strikers for a defensive mid? It's kind of one of the things I'm maybe considering as a plan. Another is to maybe stick with the 4-3-3, but maybe drop our two kind of centre mids deeper to sit in front of the back three. and maybe switch the defensive wingers to just wingers on attack even, and really try and commit going forward and hope the two defensive mids can kind of help out defensively. I don't know, it's a tricky one, right? Because this system is not going to be, I don't think, amazing in the Premier League. I'm sure there'll be loads of goals and it'll be really entertaining, but from the perspective of staying up, I'm not sure it's the smartest move to go with. But we can worry about that for next season. I don't want to worry about it right now. Instead, let's worry about our team and where we've really performed. I mean, in terms of the team itself, I think Carl Stokes, there's maybe some question marks over. I actually think he's a really good goalkeeper for this level. Whilst his overall ability might be lacking, he's got great aerial reach, great handling, great one-on-ones and great reflexes. They are the 4 goalkeeper attributes I look for in a keeper. I think they make a really big difference in the match engine. The fact he ticks off all those boxes is great. Obviously, with us going into the Premier League, I might see what's available, but I would not be worried if Carl Stokes is in goal for us this coming year. I mean, at the back as well, I think defensively, we're kind of as good as we could get. I think Sarr's great. I think Piotra's great. Hoover is good. There's been a few teams interested in him. So we'll maybe see what kind of bids materialise. I don't view him as a irreplaceable part of the team, I suppose. And if he was to get sold on, I do wonder if Damani Grimes would be good enough just to come in, step up, play at centre-back, maybe even play Piotra in the wider area. I feel like there's maybe a little bit of wiggle room there. I mean, if we look at the finances, obviously, £45 million transfer budget is great, plenty of wage budget too, but I don't know, if we could raise some money somewhere, I certainly wouldn't be against it. And I do wonder if defensively, because that's where so much of our strength lies, maybe that's not a crazy idea. I think at centre mid as well, we need to improve. Palembi's been good this year, but he's asked to leave the club because I didn't play him in the role I promised him he was going to play in. We signed him for $6 million, I think it was. So if we can make any kind of profit on that, I would be relatively happy. I have already been eyeing up transfer targets for next year, so I can show you a couple of them. I am looking at another striker, which I know will raise some eyebrows, but my hope is maybe we can sell one on to help cover the cost of this. Finn Amlo is currently in the Germany men's national team at the age of 19, playing for Augsburg. He was signed from Dortmund for 11.25 million, but right now he's got an active relegation release clause of 23 million, which feels like an opportunity that we need to capitalise on. He looks like a top quality youngster. As I said, if we just go to the German men's national team, he was here. Is he still here? He's actually not. They've removed him. I mean, it feels harsh. I guess he's just got relegated. But either way, he looks like a really, really good talent, and I think he could be a good addition. If I just compare him to Samake, you can kind of see the comparison here. You could definitely make an argument he's better than Samake, and he's only 19. And he's German. German regens in Football Manager are pretty good usually. Another player who I'm looking to sign is Mateus Fernandes. As I've just alluded to, I might be looking to replace Palembi. I might be looking for a centre mid who's a bit more defensively minded. Mateus Fernandes, important matches he loves, consistency, super well-rounded player without having any standout attributes, and he can also play at defensive mid, which, you know, if we do need to change how we play a little bit going into the new season, I think defensive mids might be something that we look to explore. He ticks a lot of boxes and offers a little bit of experience, even if he doesn't have the best personality in the world. I am also looking at Owen Ricketts here. I don't know if I'm going to go for Owen Ricketts, though. I don't like the fact he hates important matches, and I'm just a bit suspicious. I feel like there's a reason Tottenham are willing to sell him to me for 30 million, and it might be because they're trying to, I don't know, pull the wool over my eyes and pull a quick one on us. But anyway, that's some of the early transfer business. In terms of, you know, the rest of the team, I'm relatively happy with the team. I'm looking for a few little improvements, I think. Maybe investing a little bit into young players for the future as well as kind of a longer term idea. There are also a few players who I would like to move on ideally. I look at Ben Johnson as someone who I don't think is quite justifying his wages of close to £40,000 a week. Similarly, Talby, as I've already talked about, he's worth a lot of money. We're paying him a fair amount a week. Didn't have a very good season. If we could sell him on for any little bit of profit, that's probably the player that it would make the most sense to sell if I choose to confirm the signing of Finn. I feel like I have to confirm the signing of this guy. I feel like if I don't sign him, I'll just regret it. It'll be the one that got away. Someone else is going to swoop in because Augsburg have just been relegated. So with that in mind, it's fear of missing out, everyone, is basically what's driving me there. But no, I think the aim for this coming season in the Premier League is going to be, let's just stay up, but let's try and play some attacking football as well. If the 3 at the back doesn't work, we can go back to a 4 at the back. We've definitely got that as a possibility with the players at our disposal. So I'm not too worried about that, I don't think. But all in all, it's a team that I think is ready for the Premier League. Maybe not in terms of all the personnel, but in terms of the direction in which we're going. I don't feel like I'm going into the Premier League like a lamb to the slaughter. You know, I feel like I've got a plan in my head and we've got the players to actually make it work. But anyway, let's talk about the stuff that you guys wanted to talk about. And the first thing that everyone was typing in the comments was, Sam York. Where's Sam York? Look, okay, I talked about it earlier on this year. I wanted to sign him and he turned me down to go to Hamburg in the Bundesliga, where he's played he scored 4 goals in 19 games. Not a very good average rating. He's not done very well. And apparently, he might be going out on loan again. I mean, looking at it, 19 appearances off the bench in the Bundesliga. I mean, it's not a great career, is it? But 4 goals in those 19 appearances on off the bench. Maybe he'll get a start next year. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And well, you know what? Before we get too far into some of the other players, I think we want to look at the OGs. I saw a lot of people saying, Jack, can you go back, to the very early days of Boston and have a look at some of the players? Where's Liddell? Well, I can tell you where Liddell is. It's on the corner about four streets down from me. But he's also in York. He was signed from Boston for £47,000. Consistently getting double figures with York in League 2, which is actually quite good. But unfortunately, York's just kind of a very average League 2 team. I'm afraid to say they've not been particularly good so far, but he's there, and his partner in crime, Jordan Burrow. I was surprised how many people wanted to know what's happened with Burrow. He's just left Boston and retired. Everyone, it's all very anticlimactic, but yeah, he just retired aged 32. Gone too young, I'd say. Gone too young. Anyway, Quansah, Lincoln City legend, now Forest Green legend. Signed for £10,000, played in League 2 this year, hasn't had the best of years. You can see actually he played for Plymouth for a couple of years. After we got sacked, he was sold in January, which is disgraceful, and he's climbed up through the divisions, slowly but surely. National North, National League, League 2, League 1, Championship. Now he's going down slowly. He's currently in League 2, aged only 25. He's had a pretty crazy career in terms of the different levels he's played at for a player who's only 25 years old. But yeah, there he is. I know DKM had a few questions asked about him. He's at Solihull Moors. He was signed for £4,000. He's actually done pretty good in League 2, all things considering. Did Solihull Moors avoid relegation? They did. They finished higher than Liddell's York City did. So DKM still doing his thing. Kind of interesting that a lot of the players that we signed whilst we're in the National League, and even slightly lower, they are all players who are now playing in the Football League. So clearly we did sign them, and that they far exceeded their actual ability. Elsewhere in the team, a few other players. Where's Simon? I want to know where Simon is. Simon retired from football. I just feel Simon gone but not forgotten. I know some people are probably going to ask about Junior, because we were all very excited about Junior back in the day. If you can't remember Junior, he was the Gibraltarian Prince. Well, I can tell you now, he's still at Boston United, who are playing in League 1. They have got, you can see here, he's played 20 games, only 6 starts in the league. He's okay. He's not really improved since we signed him, which is a bit of a disappointment. As for Boston themselves, you might wonder how did they get on this most recent year. They finished 7th in the league. They finished 1 place outside of the playoffs. And actually, you can see here, Preston, who pipped them to 6th place on goal difference, actually ended up winning the whole playoffs. So it could have been you, Boston. It could have been you, but sadly, it wasn't, was it? Now, Mark Cooper, I looked at not that long ago, but he's still at Middlesbrough. Nothing's really changed with him. He's loan listed. Middlesbrough have just been relegated, if I'm not mistaken. So with that in mind, he might get a chance to play regular first-team football in the Championship this year. Who knows? You can see here, just looking at the Premier League, Villa and Swansea have gone down, which is a little bit interesting. Of course, Swansea, I wanted to play them next year. I'm a bit disappointed that they failed so hard. But 3 teams finishing below 30 points is pretty crazy. That's, usually to stay up in the Premier League, they say 38 points is safe. A point every game, and I think most years that's enough to keep you up. Obviously, if the bar can be set as low as 30 points for next season, I would be very, very grateful. That would help us out quite a lot. Anyway, the last of the Boston players I saw people asking about was actually Grundy. Now, Grundy, you may remember, was a really hot prospect who we sold. Oh, no, we didn't sell it, but he got sold, and we bumped into him a few times in League One. He's currently playing in the Scottish Premier League. He was signed for £1.7 million from Warsaw. He's actually a pretty good player. It's interesting how many of these youngsters produced at Boston are actually playing at a surprisingly reasonable level. Obviously, all that money that we sold, or rather that we got through Sam York's sale, has all been invested into the facilities, and longer term, that does feel like it's had a big benefit for the team. Anyway, I was a bit disappointed when it came to Lincoln. Fewer people asked about Lincoln players compared to Boston players. I feel like Lincoln, maybe not got the same nostalgia for them just yet. Maybe we've not hit the nostalgic point. But one thing that loads of people were asking about was Peder Bolk. This was my departing gift to Lincoln City as I left, a player who I was very excited about. I have scouted him since that we took over at Nottingham Forest. My scouts don't rate his potential that much, but as far as centre mids go at championship level, at 18 years old, I'd still say he's pretty blooming good. So, he's here. If you were wondering how he's got on, he's had a kind of fairly average season. Elsewhere at Lincoln City, I know another player people were very interested in was Callum Green. And I can now tell you he's still at the club, although he's not started as many games this year. 5 starts, 18 appearances on off the bench. He's done okay. The numbers were never that great even for us, were they? I feel like he was one of those players who looks great, but never really performed on the pitch to the same level. Debatably already at his potential as well. Feels like he's kind of just destined to be a middling Championship player this year. So another thing that people were really interested to see was some of the kind of award winners and World Cup winners and all that stuff. So I feel like that's a nice place to go now, is to have a look at some of the, the different goings-on around the world. So let's start with the FIFA World Cup, which, well, since we started this save game, has been won by Spain and Italy. Italy beating the Netherlands in the final. And the next hosts of the World Cup are going to be England. I mean, imagine a World Cup hosted in England. Imagine just a World Cup, everyone. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen at the moment, does it, with the state of the world? But it's there still. And if we look at the European Football Championship, who's been winning the Euros? Well, you can see here, France won 2021s, and the Netherlands won it most recently. This year, the Championship kicks off again. Scotland have made it in. I saw Wales there as well. England are in it, Ireland are in it. Did Northern Ireland win it? Get into it? I can't see them. I'm sorry, Marky Cooper fan club. He won't be doing it at the Euros. But no, you can see the teams here. Actually, kind of interesting to see Bulgaria making it into the Euros. No disrespect to Bulgaria, but not a team you associate with the dizzying heights of the Euros, really. Elsewhere, I know some people wanted to see the award winners, so let's have a look at those award winners. I don't want the World Cup. I just want the World page, Football Manager. World Awards, award winners. Here we go. So, the Goal 50 is a new one. I don't know what Goal 50 is. Also, there's a regen in it. Let's have a look at him. He's good, isn't he? He's not looking forward to taking him on in a Champions League over the next decade, which, well, hopefully will be the case. Let's look at the Ballon d'Or winners, though, and interesting to see here, a bit of a wide range of winners. Messi won it, and I know some people asked about Messi and Ronaldo. They've both just retired in this save game, so I can't sign Messi or Ronaldo as staff members. But you can see here, Mo Salah won a Ballon d'Or ahead of Mbappe. Dybala won one ahead of Mbappe. Finally, after a few years of waiting for his moment, Mbappe did win a Ballon d'Or, and since then it's been Mbappe and Leroy Sané battling it out, with Fabio Silva making a cameo at one point. Also, Phil Foden at Barcelona. That's a little bit of a weird one, isn't it? If we just look at the... I want to look at the best team. Where is best team? Is it... I thought it was awards. Does it have a different name? World Player of the Year? No. Where? Am I an idiot? I am an idiot. Here it is. This is what I was looking for, everyone. The World Team of the Year for this year. So you can see the players. Most of them are still real players, which is interesting. And a lot of Barcelona players. I guess Barcelona are just really, really good. Who would have thought Barcelona would end up being good? But yeah, you can see a whole host of different players here. In terms of the highest goal scorer, Van Nielsen of Atletico Madrid with 33 goals. Only 33. I mean, sure, let's get Samake in it, everyone. He got 35 goals. Justice for Samake. That's all I've got to say on the matter. Disgrace. Absolutely right. Anyway, I don't think there's any kind of super unusual names there. I guess Marlon being in it could be seen as a little bit weird, but he is very good in Football Manager, to be fair. I don't know if there's any names here that you don't really recognise or names that you think are a bit odd. Let me know. But it looks like for the most part it's real players, and then I think it's just Alvarez, the regen right winger. It's kind of interesting that in 2028 there's only one regen in the team of the year for the whole world, considering that I feel like usually you have a few breakout players who come in really soon. Obviously, this is the end of the 8th season here, so 8 years in, some of the youngest regens will be turning 24, 25 right now. But apparently, they're just not very good, everyone, which is a little bit odd. Anyway, we've had a look at the World Cup winners. I know some people are going to want to see the Champions League winners and also the European Cup or the Euro Cup winners. You can see here, looking at past winners of the various competitions, we've got PSG, Barcelona, Chelsea, City. City have won one, everyone. Was it Pep who got them at 2022-23 managers? I mean, Pep is still in charge. I don't know. I just assumed they would have sacked him by now. Fair play. I do wonder if they might sack him here. You can see they finished 4th. The status quo, actually, of the top 6 hasn't changed too much in terms of the actual teams, but their ordering has. Liverpool finishing 5th. Get the riots in the street. Who is Liverpool manager right now? It's Gallardo. Interesting. Also, Trent and Van Dijk both still at the club. Joe Gomez playing left back most recently. Alisson still in goal. Joe Gomez at left back upsets me, and I'm not sure why, it just does. But yeah, Man City winning a Champions League. As for the Europa League, if we just have a quick look, Wolverhampton Wanderers, you've won it. You've won it, Wolves. They beat Hertha Berlin 5-0 in the final. Previous winners include Arsenal, Zebra, Real Sociedad, Valencia, Leipzig. Liverpool winning it. A Euro. Oh, that's not good. Also, there's a regen here playing for Rosenborg. Is he any good? Is he any good? Get a scout report. This is how you find your players, everyone. You just look at the random goal scorers. But no, Wolverhampton Wanderers winning the European Championship is kind of interesting. Obviously, not the European Championship, but the Euros is still pretty blooming good if you'd ask me. But that's what's been going on there. In terms of Premier League past winners, should we have a quick look at this? It's Chelsea, everyone. It's a Chelsea universe that we live in. They've won 4 on the bounce. Man City have won a couple after Liverpool won in 2021-22. And also, you can see Man United won the very first season of this save game, which mimics my save game I did with Manchester United earlier on this year, which is a little bit odd. In terms of teams that we're going to be challenging with you, I'd imagine this year in the Premier League, it looks like the likes of Burnley, Brighton, Newcastle, probably the teams that we're going to be in and amongst. Of course, ourselves and Bournemouth coming up. Bournemouth are a very, very good team with some very, very good players. I actually suspect that ourselves and Bournemouth will both stay up next year. I know, I'm putting my head out on the chopping block here. But no, I think both teams will end up staying up. It's just going to be interesting to see how competitive it is, because it does look like 3 significantly weaker teams have gone down. There are definitely years in the Premier League where you have stronger teams promoted and weaker teams promoted and relegated and vice versa. And I think this year is actually going to be a year potentially where it's very, very competitive at the bottom. The gap between ourselves and some of the teams who avoided relegation, I don't think is that huge. It's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that all plays out over the course of next year. I will say, I am very, very nervous for next year, everyone. I feel like next year is a tough year. I'm thinking back to the Town Town, promotion year where we ended up getting relegated. That wasn't, well, particularly great, was it? It was a bit of a down note, and I don't want history to repeat itself. I just want to stay up, everyone. That's the aim for next year. Anyway, I'm now just having a quick look through the comments to see if there's anything else that I've missed that people desperately wanted to see. People wanted to have a look at Henry Kumwenda. Here he is. He's playing for Exeter in League 2. He got 2 goals in 9 games. He's had a great career. Probably peaked when he was playing for Spennymoor in the National League North. Got this kind of big jump up. Went into League 1. Jumping up 3 leagues. Didn't really settle at that level. I don't think he's necessarily settled at League 2 level either, but Exeter, give the boy a chance. Give the schoolboy an opportunity. That's all I can really ask for. Anyway, if we just have a look at our manager profile, there was a comment asking me to compare myself to other managers. I can't really do that easily because there isn't a compare button between managers of, of yourself and another manager. That was awful English. Basically, what I'm saying is there isn't a way for me to compare myself directly with, say, Danny Walker here, who's currently managing Brighton, other than to quickly flick back and forth between myself and Danny Walker. And this is interesting. Danny Walker is 42 years old, starts as a Man City youth coach, became their reserve assistant manager, became Liverpool assistant manager, went to Middlesbrough, and now is managing Brighton, aged only 42. That's Danny, I'm not familiar with you, mate, but apparently you're very good. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't compare him with myself, which I know, that would be a really good feature, wouldn't it, if you could compare yourself with other managers. I guess it was decided that you just don't need it. But he's probably better than me, to be honest. Is he better than me? He probably is better than me. Most of the managers are going to be better than me, despite the fact that we've maxed out our kind of coaching with a Continental Pro license. Obviously your ability as a manager does still just steadily continue to kind of rise over time. Stuff like our adaptability, it's never going to go up because I'm not managing abroad. Stuff like determination, player knowledge, youngster knowledge, these will all slowly improve over time still, so there's still room for improvement there. But given the fact we've got our Continental Pro license, I'm not actually sure how much more the coaching attributes are going to improve. I feel like they've now been very, very similar for a very, very long time. Anyway, I think to wrap up today's kind of end of season episode, we'll just take a look at my manager profile here. We've had 1,000 days longest period at a time. Shortest period was 1,039 days. Right now at Forest, we're not near either of those, I don't think. I don't know how long we've been at Forest for now. It's been a year and a bit. But it must be coming up to like 500 days, I imagine. But you can see here, career earnings, £1.5 million. We're a millionaire, everyone. Total game time, 2,710 days. 0 days spent on holiday. I'm very proud of that. That probably shouldn't be. You can see total value of players bought, 128 million. Total value of players sold, 181 million. We like to make our money. Highest fee spent was on Malang Sarr, apparently, which... it doesn't seem that big. 13 million does not seem that large. Also, what's happened? Football, there we go. Right, fix it. 13 million for Sarr is not a huge amount of money to have spent on anyone. Obviously, Rodak, the big sale at 46 million. In terms of our history, actually, it says here, 584 days at Nottingham Forest, 90 games played, 60 games won, overall career numbers, 404 games played, averaging more than 2 goals a game, 4 leagues, 4 promotions, 1 cup. Hopefully that 0 league relegations is going to remain for a few more years because I don't want to go down from the Premier League, but this coming year is going to be very, very tough. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap things up from me today. This was a bit of an experimental episode, so if you've enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like on it. If there's stuff that I maybe could have covered that I didn't, let me know it down in the comments. Maybe next year we'll do something not dissimilar to this. Again, apologies for the lack of an episode yesterday. Also, throughout this episode, you might have noticed the commentary. It went a bit wibbly-wobbly in places. I'm still not feeling 100%, so I'm going to go rest up. We'll be back again in a couple of days. Yes, there won't be an episode tomorrow. It's a big pre-season. I don't want to rush through it, but when we are back come Monday, I hope you're going to be ready. Anyway, that's all from me, folks. Thank you for watching. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.